All right, now it's time to take a look at Ricoh's brand new action camera, the WG-M2. Bryan Burnett took it out for a ride.
There are two things that an action camera needs to be: compact and rugged, but to separate itself from the pack, it needs something more. Introducing the Ricoh WG-M2. Coming in at $299.95, the Ricoh sets itself apart with its ultra-wide 204-degree lens and can record at 4K resolution at 30 frames per second. From a design standpoint, I really like the Ricoh. The buttons are easily reached, the LCD screen is easy to read even in broad daylight, it's waterproof up to 20 meters without a protective housing, it's shockproof, cold-proof, and has electronic image stabilization. Inside, it has an 8-megapixel sensor that will allow recording at 1080 at 60 frames per second, 720 at 120 frames per second, and of course 4K at 30. The WG-M2 checks all the boxes in the Action Cam spec list, but how does it perform? Unfortunately, when recording at 4K, the ultra-wide 204-degree lens softens the edges of the video, making it appear blurry and out of focus. When recording at a lower resolution like 1080, you can narrow the field of view, lessening the effect, but it still doesn't help make the video look any better. Compounding the poor focus is a sensor that struggles with light metering. When transitioning from sunlight to shadows and back, the video either looks blown out or underexposed. Another downside is when using a regular movie recording mode, the Ricoh only will record for 25 minutes and then stop, which means if the camera is out of reach or you forget how much time has gone by, you could come back to the camera and find it not recording. As for the total recording time, I was able to get nearly 2 hours of footage before having a dead battery, but your mileage will vary depending on the resolution you record at. There's also a slow-mo feature that allows you to capture video at 120 frames per second, but only at the lower resolution, so it doesn't look very sharp. The electronic image stabilization works okay, but when it's used on something like a motorcycle that leans side to side, the video ended up looking jerky as the camera tried to compensate. The wind noise reduction feature does seem to work, but overall the sound isn't very impressive. All in all, the Ricoh WG-M2 has some very well-designed hardware aspects, but when pairing good design with merely average video quality at $300, the Ricoh is outperformed by something like a $250 GoPro Hero 3. While the GoPro 3 doesn't come with a screen, I'd gladly sacrifice that for better video. In the end, the WG-M2 comes up short, especially when the two biggest selling points are 4K at 30 frames per second and 204-degree wide lens that both fall flat in execution. To really innovate the action cam space, I'd like Ricoh to create a rugged 360 recording camera, something similar to the other camera that they already make, the Theta S360. This has been Bryan Burnett, and that's my review of the Ricoh WG-M2.
Thank you, Ryan. Actually, that would be a good idea. Wouldn't it get the 360 in a rugged environment? I'd like to see that.
That would be nice.
I'd love to see that. So I guess it's a do not buy for the Ricoh Action Cam. You know, the Hero's the one to beat. Everybody's going after the Hero. The GoPro is so good.
They've got it.
What were you doing to the tire there? Were you burning rubber?
That was just for the slow-mo, that's all.
Doesn't seem like a good idea.
That tire's on its way out.
Oh, okay. Anyway, well, it is now.
He has a whole stash of old tires that he saves for slow-mo shots.
Oh, that's good.
True.
Good to have. What kind of bike is that?
It's a Honda CBR.
Okay. You are our daredevil. That is Bryan Burnett, who is also our technical director.
Anytime, Leo.
Job. Thank you, Bryan. You can catch Bryan on the Know How Show with Father Robert Ballas here twice a week.